Okay, happy Sunday, everybody. It's the Twice Exceptional Mom, Shelby Long. I'm here today with my good friend, Sam Coons, Sammy. And today we're going to talk about going beyond being a twice exceptional mom because they're also twice exceptional dads. So we're going to talk a little bit today, and whatever we discuss today is going to be posted probably by next Sunday. I have a different video I'm planning on posting today with Portia, where we talk a little bit more about some of the challenges our sons have faced when we were initially trying to get them services. So that's what we're working on today. And we hope you're able to tune in. If you haven't subscribed and liked yet, my YouTube channel is at thetwiceexceptionalmom.com. My Instagram is at thetwiceexceptionalmom.com. Well, at the Twice Exceptional Mom. And my website is www.thetwiceexceptionalmom.com. Again, my name is Shelby Long, Twice Exceptional Mom, and I'm here with Sam. So Sam Coons, I've known you a very long time.
Oh, yes.
Since you were a little boy yourself. And we've had several conversations in recent years because you know my challenges that I've had with my son and him having his autism and again not being diagnosed but being served under his IEP because he exhibits symptoms of ASD, autism spectrum disorder. He has a speech language delay. He also has ADHD. He's very hyperactive. He could run circles all around this place if he wanted to really fast. The parapros at the school are amazed at how fast he is. He makes Usain Bolt look slow. But we talked about my son and some of my challenges with him. And I know that you started at a certain point, started seeing certain things that ended up allowing us to have a conversation, talk about, can you say for you as a dad, what things you were noticing? Because you, like me, you already had a daughter before. So I had Annalisa, you had Lon, and you saw certain milestones and things happen with your daughter, and then you had your son. What were some things that stood out to you?
I would say just really seeing the development in his speech. I think that was the biggest part. So in the beginning, it started out just saying with like my daughter, dad, things like that. And then saw his speech kind of elevate and then digress. And so seeing the fluctuation, of course they say, girls mature faster than boys.
So like, and they say especially with language too. Yeah.
So I was thinking, okay, maybe it could be that. But then after over time, just seeing how it became more of a stutter, or sometimes he just wouldn't,
speak at all.
So seeing that kind of made me be like, okay, let me, really pay attention. And then when it came to like, does he want this? Him being able to point to me and say some stuff he could do it with, but some stuff not. And just seeing the
difference, like a change.
Yeah.
And I can relate to that. With my son, he was talking also, and he's a COVID baby though, so he turned 1 and 2 at the house during COVID, but he was talking also, and then he stopped, and it was like, hold on, what's going on, and then trying to figure out what to do. So what were your first steps as a dad, as a twice exceptional dad? What were some of your first steps in trying to make sure you were addressing your son's needs?
So for one, it was mainly just making sure, like at least just testing out for myself, like, starting with letting him familiarize himself with certain things, seeing if he picks up on it.
Right.
If that's not the case, then I was like, okay, don't ignore it. Because I feel like the biggest thing is like, you don't want to accept certain things because of how it's perceived. So you're like, I don't want to do it. But then it's like, I'm doing my child a disservice if I do that. So next step was taking him to the doctor, getting a referral.
The pediatrician?
Yeah, the pediatrician. Okay. Making sure, I have all my documentation, getting him diagnosed, getting him into speech, and just really going from there. So
Well, I love the part that you said, because this is actually piggybacks off of something that Portia and I discussed in the other video that's coming up about, it does him a disservice, our children a disservice to wait on certain things. And I think as I'm learning, as I'm doing this, I think, yes, I'm passionate about children as an educator. Yes, I'm passionate about exceptional children and twice exceptional children, but I'm also passionate about Black twice exceptional children. And one of the things Portia and I discussed was how it's very much stigmatized in our community. And so it's very much on us to educate other people in our community about autism, about ADHD, about these different types of things, because they're simply just unaware. And I think it's that otherness, it just, people put your kid to the side a little bit with the otherness. And some people may even, one of the things we discussed was like, people may mean well and say, well, we're just gonna pray for them, we're just gonna do this, do that. But the Bible says faith without works is what? Dead. It's
I'm trying to tell
dead.
you.
It's dead. And you got to be that person for your kid and pay attention. So I want to say to you, even if I haven't said it lately, I'm so proud of you for how you tune in to your son and your daughter, and how you watched what was happening, and you made a plan, and you're seeing the results of putting that plan in action. And can you kind of share with the people at home what you've noticed, even like if you want to talk about from the beginning, like when you first started getting your son some assistance, like what were some early wins, I guess?
Um, I would say early on, if, a lot of times you'll get, well, he's still young,
Mhm.
he's gonna develop, give him time, it's common. But for me, um, just knowing how hands-on I am with my kids, I can have an idea or gauge an idea of where they should be.
Right, you had that feeling, that
Yes.
intuition.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
and then just seeing, because all the kids come to my house to play
So
basketball,
you need to
everything.
explain what all the kids is for the
Awesome.
people at home. So the people at home that don't know, he also has a plethora of nieces and nephews. He has two nephews and two nieces, in addition to his daughter and his son. So they've got like a perfect set of six, three girls, three boys, and they're all around the same age, and they're all ridiculously cute, by the way, and full of life and energy. So these are the kids he's talking about. It's lots of them. They're precious. Lots of them.
So just seeing the development, and not to compare, but just to at least, like I say, gauge on where my
Right.
child should be. And so once I started to see, the difference in it, it's like, okay, now you have to, get yourself together. That's when I started like getting with my mom, because she helped me a lot throughout the process.
Mhm.
Especially like, and even my sister Erica, like both
Yeah.
of my sisters, they
Yeah.
really were just hands-on with me as
Mhm.
well. Like, Sammy, we're gonna make sure we do this, get this done. Because like I said, a lot of the pushback was just simply, he's young. You can't say base that on give him
Right.
that, just yet, because he may develop later on or whatever the case may be. But like I said, seeing my nieces and nephews, just seeing that development,
Right.
it was like, okay, let me go ahead and take this step, because what I don't
Mhm.
want to do is prolong it.
Yes.
And so once we started having that, I guess you say, battle early on,
Yes.
then we finally were able to find someone who really, took the time out to say, we're gonna get him some help.
So was it a different pediatrician, or was it like a specialist that you saw about autism or something? Like, who was that person that helped you kind of get the process going?
So I'm gonna be honest. So my kids, they have asthma. So the people at the pediatrician, they knew us firsthand. Like,
Right.
they knew who we were.
Right.
So I kept bringing it up to them every time I took them in, no matter what.
Right.
Whether it's regular cough, the chest hurts.
Right.
Tammy's speech. Like,
Yes.
that was I always
Yes.
made sure I always put that in there. And so after a while, she's like, okay, well, let's see if we can get him some speech. And I will get a form sent out. Once they
Mhm.
got everything sent out, that's when we had an appointment for him to get evaluated.
And do you mind sharing the name of the speech pathologist you use, or the company that you use?
Communication Dynamics.
Okay, so awesome. Okay.
They're awesome.
We're good. That's awesome. I think it's important, and is that a Black-owned business too?
Yes,
It's a
ma'am.
Black-owned business. Um, but my son goes to therapy specialists in Georgia, but they've been amazing with him as well. But he also gets more services in that. So he gets speech, and he fluctuates between occupational therapy and physical therapy. So he has those, and they give him several other therapies to other families as well, but we don't get those. But I think for us moving forward, the next step in therapy would be ABA, applied behavioral analysis therapy. That's when you try to like adjust their behaviors because certain behaviors they has at home don't translate well at school and need to be adjusted at home too. But I think that's the next step in those things. So I kind of want to go back on to the nieces and nephews a little bit. Did they notice a change? How did they react when they saw him when he started talking more?
So the unique part, I would say Auburn probably noticed it first. And the reason why I say, because like you said, they're six. So you have Alani and Michael, and then you have Sammy and Auburn, and then you have Matthew and Autumn. And they all treat each other like siblings. So Auburn is always mainly the one to kind of like baby Sammy, it's like, oh, so she was the one to really kind of first notice like, Sammy's talking. Like she literally would come to me and say, oh, Sammy, Sammy's talking. He said this. And his sister, of course, she's always excited. So she saw the change. It was real, the interaction with them changed. So it went from, Sammy kind of just playing, this and
in his own world.
Yeah.
He unlocked.
Yes.
That's so funny. I love that.
So yeah, and once they because they built a communication level, able to express, hey, I want this, or can I play with this, or may I play with you? So it really started to build a better connection as far as playing and just interacting all over.
I think that's really great that your nieces and nephews are always around, because one of the main things that kids with autism need help with is that social interaction, like drawing them out of their inner world and bringing them out and making them interact. I was really excited to see him this morning. Like he was, socialized and he was fun to play with when I walked in. But I think that's so great that they're there. And so he's having that experience before he's getting into the school setting too. So he can have more of that. My daughter and my son, they play together, but it's different because they have a bigger age differential because Annalise is 11 and Alan Reese is 5. So that's definitely, she thinks that's her child. She
understand that.
Yeah, she babies him and does different things for him, but that's the person he'll play with. Like even one of his teachers in school, she saw how he interacted with me and his sister. She was like, I didn't even know he could talk that much. I was like, oh, he got it to say. It's just like who they want to say it to. It's almost like selective mutism, kind of like certain people they'll be open and very gregarious, as gregarious as can be with, and other people not so much. It's kind of like lot tight. I wonder, does your son ever do the thing where he flexes back and forth between like, I don't feel like talking, I'm going to communicate with you otherwise? Because did you all do sign language too or anything?
So we did do sign language, but he's very picky on who he talks to. And he will let you know that he doesn't want to talk. Yes, like you'll say, Sammy, he's like, no. So you will be very direct.
I think they just pick up on their vibe, the energy. They know who they are in the mood to deal with their diet. I was just curious because yesterday my son so it was a rarity. My daughter was not with me and my son. So it was just he and I all day. And he was like vegging out. He was on his tablet chilling. He was enjoying his day. When I asked him questions, this is what I got. Yes, I got thumbs up, thumbs down. And he just, nothing was wrong. He just was like not feeling it. He just didn't really want to talk. He just was enjoying his time away from his sister. I could call her and I told her, I said, the house is really quiet without you, because she always wakes up on 100 and gets everybody turned up. And we're just like, her brother and I are like very low key in comparison. Like I know I'm loud, but I'm a teacher. I can't help it. But it's just like she starts out that way. And I'm a no talker before coffee. Like if I don't have caffeine in me, we're not going there. But I think that's really, really good that you're building that community with your with the nieces and nephews and everybody together. What are you looking forward to, I guess, next year? As we talked a little bit about him starting school. Like, what are some things you're hoping to see happen for him as he continues his journey? I'm assuming you're going to request speech as well from the school, right? For an IEP? Okay. And request a good amount. But what are you hoping to see happen when he starts 4K? Like, what are your hopes?
My hopes are to see him really blossom. And when I say blossom, I mean having him being comfortable enough to be able to speak. and say, hey,
To strangers?
yes.
Okay.
And even just to other kids, because he's also
Mhm.
selected with that as well. Um, and so I feel like that will also bring out a lot of his personality because he's a very loving, kind-hearted kid.
Yes, he is.
So once I feel like he's able to really develop that speech and really just come from this, I want him to get into public speaking.
I
So
love that.
that's the next step for me. If just because I know he has a speech delay, what I
Yes.
don't want to do, if I'm putting so much work into it on the front end, on the back end, I want him to
Yes.
also be able to benefit from it as well. So him being in the public speaking and getting into, even if it's just saying a poem at
Right,
church or whatever
right.
case
The
may
Easter
be.
speech.
The Easter speech,
Almost
yes.
that time of the year. Yes.
So just start putting him in those settings to feel more comfortable speaking no matter where he is, being able to hold his head high and not hold
Yes.
his head down and be scared or nervous to be to say something. So
Yes. I love that. I think that's really, really good. And I love that you're taking a perceived weakness and you're helping him turn it into a strength so he can build that confidence and he can go from there. A lot of times, so I'm the twice exceptional mom. So I'm usually meeting with other moms and your dad. What do you feel like was been, I guess, the most challenging for you as a single dad with two kids and, definitely exceptional because I'm waiting for Lon to go ahead and get into gifted. I'm waiting. I know it's gonna happen.
oh, yes.
And, and Sam is just, he's precious. So I guess for you as a dad, a single dad too, like what have been your challenges and triumphs like in navigating all this and doing it by yourself, especially being a younger dad? Like what would I guess more so what would you tell another dad like that's in your position?
I would tell another dad to have a clean mind, have a clean heart. And the reason why I say that is because how you view your circumstances, how you're going to view your journey with your kids. Um, it's difficult. I'm gonna be honest, but what I will say is each one of my children have taught me something different.
Yes.
My daughter has made me think differently. She's made me have to really say, okay, if you're gonna do this, do it fully through and through. My son has made me be more consistent. So especially so my daughter, her was more of an emotional development through the process because she went through so many different emotions with everything. So I had to really communicate with her, and I'm not a big
Like
talker.
step by step what's happening.
So I'm more like, hey, look, straightforward. This is what I said, and we're gonna leave it there. But with her, she needed more communication. She needed more emotional stability and more availability from me.
Yeah.
So I had to be consistent in no matter what I did. If I say I'm gonna do this, I have to be through it mentally, emotionally, physically, just all of it. Like I said, with my son, it was just being consistent. So
because they have to be on their routine, and if they're not.
And so because I could let him go to speech and he could come back home and I could just say, all right, do what you do. And he's gonna digress. Like it's gonna go backwards. So when I'm at work, I'm reading with him. He might be sitting in my lap. I'm reading charts. I'm reading him what the chart says, or just giving him a book, just really staying consistent no matter how tired I am. And not feeling even though I have support, not relying on the support because what I don't want to do is feel like I have an escape when I chose to be the parent to these kids. I chose to, go through the process and having kids. So I don't want to put that off on anyone else but myself. And I don't want to feel like I said, like I have an escape. And then I start to shortchange my kids
children,
because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna send you over here with your grandmother. She's a teacher, she's an educator. No, I'm gonna do this. And it also helped me in my own career, in my own, I love the enjoyment I get from it. At the end of it. So yeah.
How tired are you?
Oh, I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm gonna be honest. When I tell you I have a calendar, my mom literally had to buy me a huge calendar because
did you get the good desk one that the teachers get that lay flat?
Oh no, this goes on the wall.
Oh
this
wow.
It's going on the wall. So between karate, ballet, softball, t-ball, speech,
my head's spinning.
work, When I tell you Sundays are probably the only days I have to rest, and now my
Mhm.
daughter's games, come to find out, are on Sundays.
Oh,
So,
so,
it's hey, but what I was it's worth it. It is
mhm,
definitely worth it because it teaches me to push through.
mhm.
Like even with like I'm in school now. So
Mhm.
it's that's also
You
another
have
thing.
to prioritize everything and have to like give
Yes,
everything like its exact spot so it can get done.
yes. I was just telling my friend, she's like, Sammy, I don't know how you do it. And I was like, once you have so much going on and
You
start
can't drop a
prioritizing,
ball.
you can't drop a ball and you'll actually see how much time you actually have in a day.
Mhm, mhm.
So it's yeah.
Do you feel like now that's all the running around and activities and everything in terms of like advocacy for your son, like making sure he's getting therapies and like now you're about to segue into public school with his IEP and making sure he gets services with that. Like, do you feel like that's been an exhausting process for you as well? Or do you feel like you're in a good spot and that you feel like you're getting what you need?
Um, I would say it's a little hard.
Mhm.
Just because I'm getting him back into the motion of going to school
Mhm.
and just throughout the day, like I have to take breaks to, do the potty training, making
Right.
sure he's staying on top of the learning so that way when he
Right.
does get in school, he's not behind. And then even
Mhm.
afterwards, just making sure I'm spending even more time with him because with work I have to kind of balance it. So
Right.
once I get off, I have to give all of that time
Mhm.
to him so that way I'm making sure he's developing in the right way. So it's definitely tiring.
Mhm.
What kind of gives me a break from it is, my mom, everybody,
Mhm.
they'll step in and say, hey, I'm gonna take him and we'll do learning activities. So it
Right.
definitely does give me that break.
A little bit of time.
But it's definitely something that you can't play with. You
You gotta
gotta be
be
on top of it. You
consistent, you
gotta be
gotta
on
be
top of it.
disciplined, you gotta like plan your work, I guess, and work your plan type
Yes.
thing. Okay, so I heard you say like you would tell people like not to hesitate on getting the help if they see something and everything like that. What do you think? Is there any advice you would give to a young parent, especially a dad, with how to process getting a diagnosis or getting, being told, well, you need to hit the ground running and do certain things. Like I know you work because your parents are your mom's an educator, and everything you kind of know, and you and I talked to, you kind of knew what the process would be. But what do you think an average another day I would need to know or do, or like how do you think they should receive the idea of their child needing occupational therapy or speech therapy or something like that?
I would say this, and I'm just gonna be blatantly honest. Being a dad, a lot of times we have hopes for our sons. Um, that image either the life we wanted to have as a kid or what we see them having.
Mm-hmm.
So the slightest thing can sometimes be a disappointment because it causes adjustment. So I would just say really take yourself outside of your own shoes. Put yourself in third person and look at your child and say, what if you saw this kid just out and
Mm-hmm.
they didn't have anybody,
What would you
what would you do?
think? Mm-hmm.
How would you go about it? Um, and then even on top of that, just understanding the love that you have for your child
Mm-hmm.
because it's not necessarily about you and don't look at it as a bad thing either because this is what you're placed with is going to help you get
Mm,
to where now
yes,
you
I
want to get
agree.
to spiritually, mentally,
Yes,
emotionally, and you may not see it right now, but
yes,
it's going to get you there.
yeah.
So I would say embrace it. Um, I will say this in the beginning, when I used to hear people talk about it, it kind of bothered me. So I'm like, that's my son, like I
I
can
can
see
say
it, but
it.
I'm not going to let any, but after a while, I was just like, yes, he does have a speech delay.
Yeah.
And it also helped me to be able to realize, like, come to a
Mm-hmm.
realization of like how you need to go about it and how people on the outside may perceive it. So that way, when my son, when he walks throughout life, when he grows out of it or whatever the case may be, he'll know how to handle
Yes,
that. Or if he runs through the same issue when he has kids down the line, or whatever the case may be, I'll be able to express to him and give him that knowledge and say, hey, this is
right.
how you can prepare for, or even just somebody else who's maybe going through the same thing. So
I like how you said that. I think it's important to like reframe reframe it, definitely take ownership of a diagnosis and everything if you know it's legitimately there so that you can move forward. But I think it's important to I guess not write a child off just because of that. And I think that's one thing we struggle with, especially in our community, Black community. I think a lot of times people write children off for being different or for showing signs of autism and ADHD because it's not perceived as neurotypical and everything like that. But everybody, there's a place for all of God's children. Everybody's life has meaning and it has purpose. And I think that I appreciate you being vulnerable too and sharing the part about your hopes and dreams as a parent, because a lot of people don't talk about the fact that we view our children as extensions of ourselves. And when somebody says, oh, your child has this, a lot of people take it to heart. Like my husband, my ex-husband, he would, at first he was like, there's nothing wrong with him. He's fine. I was like, I've got 2 degrees in early childhood education. There's something up. There's something. And, but then fast forward, once we've gone through all the things, and, he went through a phase from there's nothing wrong to, oh my God, what all could be wrong? Because my son has some other issues with, or he ended up with an MRI because he has, nystagmus is a condition where your eye will bounce sometimes. And so they were thinking that there was something neurological going on. And he also has microcephaly vera. So his head is smaller than average, but you only know if you measure. You should be measuring my child's head. You don't know him like that. But they don't measure anymore. But so he doesn't look like a Zika baby or anything like that. But it just was not typical, And so, but when we got the MRI, got to see the brain. The doctor said, Dr. Tresmonte said, his brain is perfectly intact. He has all the structures, everything's good. Everything's great. And that took a lot of that pressure and everything off. But I think once he got that confirmation, then he was able to kind of move a little bit more forward in a more positive way about our son and getting him what he needs. And I will say, like for him, and I guess maybe one day I'll invite him on one day. Well, he's really good at making sure our son gets his therapies because his schedule is better for it. So he is the dad that goes to therapy and he talks to the therapist and he comes back and he'll say, we went to therapy today. These are the notes. This is what we need to work on this week. And I just think that that's so important for all kids, especially with kids like ours and, so Black neurospicy, children who are not neurotypical to have the support of their parents. And I think a dad being there is definitely important because I think your perspective is very different than what a mom's perspective is going to be. And I think that sometimes I may have been guilty a time or two. Sometimes moms, we coddle a little bit. Sometimes, especially like with the baby, and my son's the baby. But I can tell that from what you're saying, you're going to push him. You're not going to let it be an excuse. You're not going to let it be a reason why something doesn't happen. You're going to be the reason why extraordinary things happen more.
Oh yes, I don't call him. Like I'm gonna be honest. I don't because I feel like if I baby you through it, you'll expect to get babied. And I feel like, and this is me just being honest, I feel like as a community, I feel like we already find so many reasons on
You preaching to a teacher now.
on why we need assistance in all these
Yes.
areas. And I don't want to raise my kids in any
Yeah.
way, shape, form, or fashion to feel like you need assistance. Yeah, you may have
Yeah.
odds against you, you may have whatever. It's plenty of other people out here that have the same issue.
Right, but how are you going to push through it?
Exactly. So if I can give you the strength, the knowledge, and the will to press through despite whatever, that's what I'm gonna do.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, are there any other nuggets of wisdom that you would share to any other exceptional dads, twice exceptional dads, young dads, or even young mothers that you think they need to know, like moving forward when we think about exceptionalities like ADHD, autism, and all these types of things and how to relate to their children? Like, what's the last thing that you would want to tell them?
I would say let your kids drive their journey. Like, and the reason why I say let your kids drive their journey is because like I said, a lot of times we'll put stuff off on our kids in expectation of them wanting to do it out of our own will.
Yes.
So with my son, he loves to build. Like
Mhm.
I'm in between. I love to work on
Mhm.
cars. I build
Yeah.
tables, just a couple. I love to do stupid
Right.
stuff. My daughter is very active. My son likes to go outside too, but he loves to build stuff.
Mhm.
Like that's his niche.
Mhm.
So what I do is I started to do a balance. When I work out, they work out with me. We also
Mhm.
do building projects. We do arts and crafts projects.
Mhm.
And I never say which one is better than the other. I never give more praise to which one
I like
is
that.
more valuable, because if this is your niche, if this is what you like, we're going to do it until it
Mhm.
becomes so repetition for you to where
Yeah.
you're like, I
Yeah.
like to do this,
Yeah.
and not setting limitations on your kids. I think
Mhm.
that's the biggest thing as well.
I love that. So again, I'm Shelby Law, the twice exceptional mom, and I've been with Sam Coons, a twice exceptional dad. And he's done an amazing job articulating to everybody out there about autism and about addressing, especially with our young Black males, and making sure that we get them services, that we stay aware, and that we're tuned into our kids. And again, I'm just so grateful for you coming out and sharing your knowledge. And I'm sure you're going to come out again, and we'll discuss some more things as you have continual wins with your son on his growth and development. And keep doing what you're doing. We're proud of you.
It was a pleasure. I appreciate you having me.